Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, just a quick intraday update. The price has reacted here to this area between the 100% extension. We've seen it dance around that level in the previous video. And the next support level, the structural support we talked about, a possible neckline for a head and shoulders pattern. If you're interested in the bigger picture, feel free to check out the last video in which I also covered the daily chart. It's an interesting time right now because we are heading towards this key support zone for a possible wave 2. Slight modification here to the yellow scenario, which I shared with you in the previous video. It makes sense to either consider this now an ABC structure in yellow or in orange a WXY pattern. This here is too weak for a reliable wave 2. I mean, if the market tells me it is more than this move up is more than a B wave, then so be it. But for now, I'm tracking a B wave bounce. We need a little bit more price action essentially to really determine what it is. For now, we have seen a bounce from the area where we wanted to see a bounce from. In the last video, I highlighted that the RSI on the 1 hour chart was already oversold. So you can expect a bit of a bounce. Typically, there was also a bullish divergence that formed after the last video. The MACD is turning to the upside on the 1 hour, so a bounce is unfolding. Now, the initial resistance area now is between 65,287 and 66,345. We have to watch for resistance in this region. It's only standard resistance for a B wave in orange. And also remember that we talked about a head and shoulders pattern that could develop here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So, and then we can watch for maybe more downside before we get the recovery. This is obviously a speculative pattern, but it would very much align with either a yellow B wave bounce or the orange B wave bounce. Depends on how high the yellow B wave would go. The problem is B waves are the most difficult waves in Elliott Wave. They don't have a limit technically, but the orange B wave should get, so if the chart is more, let's formulate it differently. If the chart is more immediately bearish, then ideally the chart should stay below 66,345, which is a 78.6 retracement of the last decline. Once we see the price get above that level, especially if it's a sustained break above that level, the yellow scenario will become more likely and it will start to rule out orange. What's the yellow count? The yellow count indicates that a 3-wave move down is complete, probably in wave A. We can then watch for a B wave bounce. And if we get rejected, maybe in the resistance or somewhere, and we see a corrective pullback, which would be yellow wave B here, wave B of a larger B wave bounce, then it could be a setup for higher. So what I'm watching for is a 5-wave move up. Can I identify a 5-wave move up followed by a 3-wave pullback? If that's the case, it might be a setup for higher in at least a larger B wave, maybe something more bullish like an extension in wave 1, which means we don't need to know, and we can't know, if this is just a larger B wave or an extension in wave 1, which presumably topped here on the 22nd of July, or maybe we're already in a 3rd wave and this was a wave 2 low, which I don't expect at this stage because it was too shallow to be reliable. But again, bear in mind that we talked about wave 2s tend to finish in an area of a wave 4 of one lesser degree, but for a crypto wave 2 that's still quite shallow, didn't even touch the 38.2 retracement. I would still call that 38.2 retracement the area of a wave 4 because just a wick down would have, would be more likely a wave 2, but we'll see. I mean, essentially what we now watch for is the micro price action. We're observing if a 5-wave move up forms. If yes, then we can watch for a 3-wave pullback, and it would be at least the yellow count. If I see that, I will take out the orange count and provide alternatively a more bullish scenario as well. And anybody who wants to use it could then use that corrective pullback for a setup. Sometimes it doesn't show. I mean, sometimes you don't always get a nice corrective pullback, I have to say that. But yeah, if it shows, that could be a setup, right? Until then, yeah, I'm watching orange and yellow, both reasonable scenarios. I'm watching the initial resistance area. Don't think it's going to necessarily provide resistance. It's a standard resistance area. B waves like to break these, but they provide some orientation. Yeah, above this 66,345 level, the next level overhead is 67,100. it's the swing high that formed on the 24th of July, and it's just a swing high that we should watch because it could offer structural resistance. Yeah, but if we get there, then it's very likely we're already in wave C in yellow anyway, because this orange B wave shouldn't really stretch that high. Would look a bit strange. So for now, staying below resistance keeps the downside pressure alive. But if we see any corrective pullback, it could be a setup for higher. That would be the way for Bitcoin to break free out of this sort of downward trend, downward structure. And I think that's it. Overall, as I said, a bullish chart as long as we're holding 56,460 support, which is the 78.6 retracement level of the initial rally that happened between the 5th of July and the 21st of July. What I wanted to mention as well, be prepared for it. I posted that earlier today on Discord already, that on, today, tomorrow, I think also on Saturday, the largest Bitcoin conference is taking place, right? You might know it, you might not know it. Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. Few speakers, quite a lot of speakers actually. Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Cathie Wood, Michael Saylor, and many more. I also thought that Elon Musk was attending. Maybe he is, and it's just not showing here, or he's a surprise guest or whatever. Maybe he's not, I don't know. But yeah, lots of speakers, but obviously the guys featured up there, or including Cathie Wood, of course. Who's not a guy, but you know what I mean. What I want to say is it could increase volatility in the markets. I think especially Donald Trump's speech, and people can think of him what they want, but he has been quite positive about crypto recently. So I think people wait for this speech, and I think it's going to be tomorrow. So there could be some volatility. Michael Saylor, we all know that he's positive. So I think people are very much focused on Donald Trump because he could become president, and he said quite a lot of positive things about crypto and negative things about CBDCs. And, people are keen to understand if he has any additional plans should he become president. So just watch the market for volatility. These are typically just catalysts, events like these. They can introduce volatility. It might be an interesting Friday because of that. That conference starts today, but Donald Trump won't speak until tomorrow. Just be prepared for it. Just want to mention it. So hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.